Welcome back to Aesthetically You. I'm your host, Megan Swan, and I think it's time to reintroduce myself a little bit. I've been going through some shifts and some major breakthroughs, and I've come full circle to realize that this next aspect of my business is really, truly what I am here to do. So it still incorporates everything I was already doing, and it just builds on it. It's just an evolution. So as you know, I'm a wellness coach, but I am now also shifting into be an integrated wellness business coach who ensures your optimal wellness stays top priority while you design and build your business. I help powerful entrepreneurs, mostly women, but not always, optimize their wellness so that they can step into a CEO mindset, have magnetic energy and confidence to scale their dreams, whatever that looks like for them. That's the beauty. You define success. And just like there is no one-size-fits-all wellness, there is no one-size-fits-all business design, either strategy or framework creation. It must take into account who you are, how you work, and how you define success. These are all things that I really wish I had understood earlier on in my entrepreneurship journey, because I've really wasted a lot of time worrying, like, am I doing it right? Do I know what I'm doing? Am I capable? Do I need some sort of or other certification? Am I good enough? These are all things that come with working through imposter syndrome, which is what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to share the 3 things that helped me overcome my own personal imposter syndrome, with the caveat that imposter syndrome, like most of our limiting beliefs that are so ingrained, it's a reprogramming that takes years. So it starts and you feel more capable of snapping yourself out of it. And each time it takes less time for you and energy for you to snap yourself back into an abundant, a growth, a CEO mindset. And with that comes growth. And it's a practice, and you become much better at being like, wait, I'm falling into my scarcity, imposter syndrome, fear-based thinking, and that's not how I want to think. So I'm going to focus on one of these 3 things that I'm going to talk to you about in this podcast today, which are journaling exercises. So powerful. And I'm so excited to announce a new resource that I have available for you to do precisely this, to help you ditch the imposter syndrome. The second thing that really helped me overcome my own imposter syndrome was investing in myself through coaching. And I'm going to break that down a little bit as well. And then the third and maybe most important was the seed of all of this change for myself. All of this evolution started with taking better care of myself, putting my own optimal wellness as top priority. And with that, I have managed to build this business, maintaining that as my number one priority. And that's what I want to do for other incredible humans, is help them walk the talk, build a very successful business as they define it, while maintaining their own optimal wellness, and in fact, infusing wellness into all of their systems, their structure, their business plan, their unique signature framework, all the things that you need to have a business, and allowing it to just sing from the rooftops, wellness, all things, not only for them personally, so building things around the fact that they're going to need non-negotiable self-care time every day in order to make it sustainable and to make it a realistic long-term plan and goal. And then, obviously painting wellness throughout their product design, their offers, their strategy, their unique framework within which they work with their clients. So too often than not, I see wellness entrepreneurs pouring everything they have into their clients while neglecting their own wellness needs. I don't know if this sings true to you. At the end of the day, it becomes pretty ironic if, as a wellpreneur, meaning someone that is building a business in the health and wellness or spirituality space, is not keeping their own connection to what they value most, their optimal health, wellness, connection to spirit. If they're not allowing themselves that time in exchange for, building their business at a pace or at a scale that, somebody else maybe really planted the idea that that's the pace in which they want to do it, somebody else's timeline, then you're not going to be able to walk the talk for very long. And, authenticity is one of the number one values for me and my company, and followed with transparency. And I think that it is essential that as a wellpreneur, you are able to say that that's top priority for you and that you make time for that every day, because from a practicality standpoint, you're going to burn out if you're not. But also the authenticity standpoint, how can you be insisting that other people are building a business around wellness when you're really not that even connected to your own wellness? So as I mentioned, I think before, but I have been my own boss for the last 10 years, and I have seen how the more I take care of myself, this was sort of the big, long story. If you didn't already listen, I did a 2-part episode because it became this long-winded story, although I've had a lot of positive feedback on how much people liked hearing the ins and outs of my journey to become the coach that I am today. So if you're interested in listening, those are a couple episodes back. But I very clearly saw that the more that I took care of myself, it started on a more physical level, and then that, dripped into being an impact on my emotional wellness, and then of course mental wellness overall. And then ultimately it created a much more vast space for me to have huge growth in my connection to spirit, having a spirituality like never before in my life. I just keep getting even more woo every step of the way. And with that, my sense of vitality, like the frequency at which I vibrate at, is like I've never felt so incredible in my whole entire life. And as I've taken better and better care of myself and maintained this non-negotiable, for me, it's non-negotiable hour in the morning, and it's not always a solid hour altogether. Sometimes it's 15 minutes here, 15 minutes, 15, but the idea is there are certain things that I do for myself almost every day, some of them every day, such as meditation. And the rest, it's like I don't feel guilty about when it doesn't happen. But I just am crystal clear at this point that, I can only give it a couple days off, and then it's not that necessarily anything bad is going to happen. It's that I don't feel as incredible. I'm not as clear-headed. I don't have as incredible downloads for my business, for energy and enthusiasm and all those things. And the second I reprioritize, even by, a 15-minute window the next day, I immediately feel better. And so with that expansion in my being and my aura and my values for myself, that like deep self-love and respect, I have been able to expand as an entrepreneur and expand my ability to move forward with all of these projects, because they can be kind of scary. You're charting your own territory. There's not necessarily, there are, maps of what other people have done. That's part of what I'll talk about more in a following episode is, you have to, the beauty of being a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, is that you get to design things how you work, how you flow, what you're passionate about, and how you want to work with people. And that is like an incredible, massive freedom. And, but with it comes this, being more comfortable with the unknown. How long will it take to build this business? What is it going to look like at each time? How will it evolve? Well, you don't know, because it's a living, breathing thing, this company, this brand you're creating, based on your essence, your unique blueprint on this planet. So I have also learned that the more clear your business plan is with a solid strategy in place, it will allow for more focus and intentional action. So that is, again, I'll be talking about that in a following episode, talking about how really one huge aspect, it'll fall into the category today of, hiring coaches. So once I had clarity on how I do all those things, and then how to do it for myself, and how to respond to the feedback that you receive in the market, and how not to respond, all of those things helped me get over my own imposter syndrome. It's a big thing to just sit and be okay with the reality that you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And that's not necessarily a scary thing. That's, I think, an exciting thing. And so hiring for me, I've now worked with multiple business coaches. I've learned really incredible things from all of them at different points in my business. And it's essentially been the reason that I've gotten to where I am today. Having the balls to even start is something you build out, I think, with taking like massive action in prioritizing your own self-care. Then journaling exercises can really get you to the point where you're like, fuck yeah, I'm worth it. Fuck yeah, I'm going to do this. Fuck that. There's no reason that I can't. That kind of CEO boss energy that you can get to with this taking better care of yourself, optimal wellness at its peak, and through journaling practices. But I think at some point, if you really want to make quantum leaps, if you really want to collapse time and have massive clarity in a short period of time, and have, a very strategic, intentional strategy, because we want to work smarter, not harder. And, there was a period where I was just kind of feeling like I was failing and flailing. So like not having clarity on what was working exactly, or how to even know. And, why am I posting? What do I need to post? Why is it not having the exact result? Or really not. It's all comes down to a plan and a strategy, like most things. But it wasn't until I'm now on my fourth container business coach that I have absolute crystal clarity that it's something, at every piece of the way, I learned something from each coach. But I was still working in the first bit. I was working a lot with coaches that said, like, it needs to be done this way, or at least like, this is how I did it, and I recommend you do it that way because I'm so successful. But if you don't give yourself that permission to do a little bit of exploring of, is that actually how I want to work with people? Is that what I want to sell? Is that how I want to sell it? You need to design it around who you are, how you work, how you flow, what is your exact passion, and really like pull the threads on your passion and your personality and your values, but also your strengths. There's no need to stress if there's some aspect of, let's say the coaching industry that you don't master, then, don't do it that way. But I didn't have the absolute clarity and confidence to make those carte blanche decisions for myself or my business until working with a coach. And every coach along the way gave me greater clarity and greater permission. And I think, it's huge having someone else as your guide, someone who has done some aspect of what you want to do, and also someone who is essentially your little cheerleader. The other day, one of my clients is like, Megan, you're like my business mama. I don't know what I'm going to do without you. And I like that. I've hired a lot of other coaches in the industry talk about, trying to give this idea of like, I'm your business bestie. And honestly, I kind of feel like that more with my business coach, that she's like a bestie, might be because she's younger than me. I don't know. But I'm totally excited and happy to step into a role that's like wellness business mama. Like, I think that rings so true for me. Nurturing other women and incredible humans into this space, because it's just so incredible to have such radical flexibility in your schedule, such radical freedom of where I am in the world at any given time. And then doing business how I want to do it, with whom I want to do it. So I will dive into the juiciest part, the journaling. I think, I've talked at length in other episodes about optimal wellness and my systems. I have a 6-pillar wellness system that I walk all clients through. I'm still going to be coaching wellness clients. If you want to just focus on wellness and mindset, that is something that I'm going to be always doing. And I just saw that most of my clients were, after focusing on optimizing their own wellness, were really ready to make like a massive shift in their life, whether that be, leaving a relationship that they kind of knew they should have left years or decades ago, or making a career shift. And several of them have made career shifts out of sort of a 9-to-5 situation, or out of quote unquote just being mothers. Like they always knew that they wanted to go back to some sort of career, but after being a mom for so long, they just couldn't see themselves like back in an office. And so they wanted to create a business for themselves that they can do from their living room, and feed into their own empowerment to feel like they're making a positive impact in the world. And also, using their true zone of genius and, being paid accordingly. So today it's going to focus the most on journaling. So why has that been so impactful for me? I can tell you that as a young girl, I actually always kept a diary. Like, I think that was a thing that you did as a teenager. I don't know whether I got it from 17 magazine or what, but it was like, sometimes I talked to the diary when I was writing as if somebody was listening. And then sometimes it was more of just chronological, like what stuff had happened in my life. And I really stopped doing that when I started going out and drinking. And I don't necessarily think they're so tied, but I definitely think there's something there to be had about just like losing that connection with my inner voice, and kind of like reflecting on my feelings and being in tune to my feelings. I kind of exchanged like going out Thursday, Friday, Saturday for that. So I stopped writing in a journal for decades. I would kind of keep a journal, and maybe if I went on a big trip. But even then, it wasn't like a good habit by any means. And it wasn't until I went through the health coaching certification, where they brought the morning pages, which is like a really cool journaling technique. The idea is that you just, every morning you get up and you write 3 pages. And of course, like you can pick the size of the book. So it might be this little tiny book. So you feel like you're getting your 3 pages in, or it might be, like any notebook, and it's just free flow. Like you're not, you're not trying to curate. There's no journal prompts. It's just like what's on your mind, what's on your heart, just get it down on paper. And you're not necessarily even going to reread it or ever. It's just like this way of sort of purging and being present with your feelings and getting them on the page. And then, starting your day with a clear head kind of thing. Another very powerful journaling practice is the gratitude journal, which I'm sure I've mentioned here on the podcast before. I always start all my clients off with this exercise, and it's something that I, ebb and flow. Like when I feel like I'm too focused on the goal sometimes, or too focused on some sort of external thing happening, I ground myself with doing like a week or 2 of gratitude journaling. And even just to like sit in, when you're waiting in line at something or waiting at the red light, just sit for a minute and like 3 things I'm grateful for today are, and just get in the habit of thinking that way. Getting it on paper is more powerful when you're writing things on paper. It actually involves all parts of the brain, like both sides of the brain, and therefore it's a little bit more in all-encompassing and powerful for your mind to write it than, you're reading it, you're writing it and get it down on paper. But it's also just a great place to start, to think to yourself on a daily basis, like, what am I grateful for? And the power of the journaling is that journaling kind of forces you to get more granular. So, for the first 10 days, even, it's going to be pretty easy to think of things that you're grateful for. Maybe it's your family, maybe it's your home, maybe it's your career, maybe it's your connection with your partner, maybe it's a pet, maybe it's, you're totally welcome to put things on there once in a while, but you will notice over time that you're more grateful for things that are not tangible. Your relationships, your connections, your feelings, your awareness, and the point is that over time, as you're forced to get more granular with what you are grateful for, you will change, you're rewiring your brain to look for things throughout your day, because your brain, your ego wants to comply. And so your brain's trying to figure out, like, what else are we grateful for? So then your brain, instead of doing its default monkey mind of looking for all the things that it needs to watch out for, where our brains are designed to be in this sort of negative default mode network, which is, what do I need to be cautious of? What do I need to worry about? What's going to go wrong? Like, that's just how we're programmed. And so that's, if you're not conscious, like, that's how you go throughout your life on some level. There's a spectrum, of course, depending on the individual and the brain chemistry and all the things, but you are totally capable of shifting out of this scarcity mindset and shifting into an abundant mindset. And gratitude journaling is a beautiful practice to help you shift into abundance too, because your brain will start looking, you'll go through your day looking for things like, ooh, what am I grateful for? Oh, look at, just feeling like, oh my goodness, I have so much. I'm so lucky. How could I ever not be satisfied with my current life situation? And because all media basically does the opposite. All media, all publicity, what's the other word I'm looking for? Like advertising. All ads are based on, like, you're not going to be happy unless you have this. Like, all of our news is, this is what you need to be fearful of. And so we're just constantly, they play off of the fact that the default of the human brain is to fixate on what to worry on and fixate on what we don't have instead of focusing on what we do have. But you can, within weeks even, you'll notice a difference, that you start noticing things to be grateful for. You'll be sitting at that red light and all of a sudden you'll look up the sky, where before you just, stare at the license plate in front of you. And now you're looking up the sky, or you're looking up beside you and you're like, never noticed there's a tree there. And look, there's flowers on that tree at this time of year. Or, making eye contact with people more, and just all these things that kind of ripple out from this powerful exercise. So one other journaling tidbit I wanted to share with you. I got really good at journaling every day when I did the Abundant Mindset, or Abundant AF coaching container. And I did it with Sabrina Phillip. You can go back. I interviewed her on Abundant Mindset last season. It was towards the beginning of my podcast, early episodes. But what was so powerful was getting back in the habit of journaling every day. And I'll admit, meditation isn't non-negotiable, but I do once in a while not journal. But I pretty much always write something down every day. Any thought that is really beautiful that I don't want to miss, or, a really great download, or new perspective on something. I just write it down because, part of it is post kids, you have this mom brain that, and there's mom brain, and then there's just the reality that there's just so much in our brains in our environment these days is just information overwhelm. So it's, our capacity actually for our ability to contain and obtain and contain. Still feel like I'm missing the word. Anyway, like maintain the information. And we have all this tech now as well. Like the simplest example is, as a kid, I knew all of my friends' telephone numbers off by heart, dozens of phone numbers. And now I know my husband's, I know my mom's, don't know my brother's off by heart, probably should. These kinds of things where we are actually allowing our brains to get lazier, and our brains our memory in that sense is like a muscle. So anyway, kind of tangent, but to get back on track, the point is that you can shift your mindset through journaling. And if you're totally new to it, just grab some journal prompts. And I invite you, this new resource that I've been working on for a month now. It's really powerful. It is like a mini snack version of working with me. So it's using some of the most powerful journaling exercises that I do with clients and allowing them to shift from imposter syndrome into an abundant, a growth, an entrepreneurial, I'm calling it CEO mindset. I'm sure I'm not the first person to call it by any means that, but that's the title of this email journaling challenge. So I'm going to drop the link here in this episode. It's just an opt-in, and then it'll drip out 5 each day. You get a little mini, snack bite exercise that's so powerful, and you get the emails in a row, but you can take your time. Some of them are more powerful than others, if you will. Some of them sort of invite more introspection, more reflection, sort of a deeper dive, a deeper dig in. I'm not sure what came out of my mouth there. And I am so excited. Like, it's a really, really powerful little resource. So if you are really, and imposter syndrome really can face us in so many aspects of our lives. Like I've talked to CEOs of like major corporations, and they too, like, these things cross their mind. Like, am I good enough? Do I know what I'm doing? I should get another certification. I'm not good enough to do, I can do this job, but I'm not good enough to do XYZ other aspect, or, the job that I really want, or, so if you're feeling that any of these thoughts in terms of, even maybe as a mother, or as, in your hobby as an artist, or, somewhere where you really feel like you could benefit from having a more abundant and growth mindset around an area of your life, ultimately, so you just feel more at ease, like you don't have this constant, like, not feeling of lack, like I'm not good enough. Perfectionism, interestingly, is actually a aspect, or a type of imposter syndrome, and it's sort of like an elitist version of it, if you will, because my version I'm not a perfectionist at all. I'm the certification-itis imposter. So my excuses were always like, I'll start when I get the next certification. Like, I need level 2 of my yoga certification. And then I got level 3. And then, to be a coach, obviously I have to get certified by the most, respected health coaching or, program. So I did that, and that wasn't good enough. Then I need to become an expert in detox. Then I need to get certified as a plant-based chef. And then finally, I started working with these coaches that are like, dude, like, you already are an expert on all these things. Like, everything that comes out of your mouth, you're just like pouring information that I had like no idea about. But the thing is, when you get so deep in it, it just becomes second nature to you. And when it becomes second nature to you, you kind of just feel like everyone must know these things. Everyone must have this insight, this perspective, this knowledge, this strength in which to communicate something. And they don't necessarily. So it's about stepping into your power. That's what it's all about. And for me, it was a gradual process, like everything. But you got to start somewhere. So if you haven't, first of all, love to hear if you feel like you're struggling with imposter syndrome in a certain aspect of your life. Love to hear from you. You can reach out to me always. My email is meganswanwellness@gmail.com. Or I'm always on Instagram in the DMs. Happy to have a little voice interaction back and forth and walk you through, the basics of getting over imposter syndrome based on your specific situation. But if you want to go on it at your own for a bit, I highly recommend, prioritizing yourself, self-care, daily self-care, define it as you will. I'm going to be getting into more, I'm expansively and personally going through a journey this year. I shared on my email list that my gift to myself for my birthday this year, by the way, happy April, happy spring. This is my birthday month. I'm very excited. There's always just such incredible rebirth, regeneration, blooming energy going on the planet. And I feel it internally too. I was going to say that, if you're feeling like you need to shift out of a scarcity mindset in any shape or form, I feel like this is the month. We've all, if you think of the traditional, what goes on in nature in winter, you've probably planted, you seeded an idea, a new energy, something you wanted to embody more, you wanted to step into, you wanted to experiment with, or maybe it's not that conscious yet. Maybe you just know that you feel stuck. You don't feel really satisfied with your life. And it maybe scares you a little bit to even consider, what it might look like shifting into something else. And therefore you don't. But anyway, all of these journaling exercises in this email, it's a 5-day email challenge, are designed to help you shift into a more abundant and growth mindset, ultimately step into your power, realize that you already are a badass. And, the number one thing that entrepreneurs have that non-entrepreneurs don't have is just the balls to put themselves out there and get started. And doing the journaling really helps you feel more confident overall, more confident in, okay, what are my values? How do I feel? What is my vision? Where do I want to be in 5 years? Because if you can't visualize it, it's not ever going to fucking happen. You have to have a vision of what your goal is. What is your dream? And, society kind of lets us dream as kids. And then, then it's all oh no, but be realistic. No, let's be real. Let's, tone it down, dim your light, do what everyone else is doing because that's what works. Go into this career because it's secure. And fortunately, it's taken me a long time to realize that I didn't very consciously do it, but I never bought into that. I mean, I never bought into the 9-to-5. I was kind of doing my own spin on it, trying to go into the NGO side of things, the non-for-profit industry. Even that was too square for me. So I'm just so excited to work with wellpreneurs, with other incredible humans that want to do basically what I'm doing in some shape or form, their version with their zone of expertise, their zone of genius, make it into this really incredible, juicy, sexy product that they want to share with the world. And when I say sexy, I mean they are on a sacral level excited. They've found new power within their body. Oh, that's what I was telling you. So loop back. Woo! Are you following? Loop me and my tangents. So I was about to tell you that vested for my birthday for myself in a 6-month mastermind called Shameless. And essentially it is teaching me all sorts of things in the realm of sexual pleasure, self-pleasure, the power of your connection with your sexuality, and all of that. I've had this epiphany, even just in the first 2 weeks of this course, that, being promiscuous and having a lot of sex in my 20s was really like the only wellness thing I did for myself. I didn't really eat well. I didn't really care about my sleep. I drank a lot. I did some sports, but I wasn't really dedicated to anything. And something like skiing, you don't do enough to get, it's like not a practice that really keeps you healthy in mind, body, soul, unless you're doing it several times a week or something. And so I will be sharing a lot more about that in the future. I'll just, drop that little seed / bomb and invite you to take better care of yourself. Prioritize something, like give yourself 15 minutes more a day doing something for yourself. Think physical, emotional, mental, spiritual wellness. Think joy. What brings me joy? Do 15 more minutes of that a day. Then start journaling. You can just start a gratitude journal. I would really love if you join us on this challenge. You can sign up. Again, the link is in the show notes here, on this 5-day challenge to rewire your mind, imposter syndrome to CEO mindset. You're uncovering your limiting beliefs to stop self-sabotaging your project, your business, your other career, yourself, really. So you're going to rewire to shift into an abundant growth and empowered mindset to take inspired action today and stop playing small. So if that sounds juicy, that sounds like right up your alley, or if anything that I said today really resonated, I always love to hear from you, as I said. And it really helps me and the podcast if you write a review on iTunes, if you share it on social media. For those of you who already have, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And if there's anything that you guys would love to hear more of, also share that with me. So I hope that you're having an incredible day, an incredible spring day, wherever you are in the world. Obviously it won't be spring in all parts of the world. But let me know, are you feeling this rebirth energy that I get every time that my birthday comes around? Partly because it's spring. It's just such a good month. So let me know how you feel about April. Have a beautiful day, evening, morning, wherever you are listening from. Bye for now. I so appreciate you.